The story begins with the main character, Jason, who has been a truck driver for over 10 years. He explains that he has traveled to many different states, but after his last trip, something happened that changed his life forever. As the narrative unfolds, we find Jason arriving at a gas station to fill up his truck. After filling up, he goes inside to grab a coffee and comes across a missing person poster. However, when he looks around, he notices that the place seems deserted, as if the person has vanished. Undeterred, he decides to get his coffee and leave. Once back in his truck, the radio crackles to life with his boss on the other end. His boss stresses that Jason needs to reach his destination quickly because he's already behind schedule. There's a contract on the line that will be jeopardized if he's late, and Jason will have to explain to management why he hasn't arrived on time. Ultimately, he would be held responsible for any consequences. Jason felt stressed as he needed to reach his destination despite having worked for hours. To make matters worse, there were threats to his job hanging over him, and a storm was moving in. However, he knew he couldn't postpone anything, so Jason pressed on. Eventually he reached a split in the road and decided to take a shortcut on an unmarked path, thinking it would get him to his destination faster. Not long after, he saw a car stopped in the road and pulled over to check if everyone was okay. Things started to feel off, as the car had been there for too long. Suddenly, he heard footsteps approaching, which made him quickly make his way back to his truck. Driving down the empty road, he finally found a petrol station, which gave him a moment of peace. However, he soon realized it was abandoned. Just as he thought he was alone, he caught a glimpse of what looked like a person. Exhausted from the long hours, Jason decided to settle for the night and crawled into the back of his truck. When he woke up, he noticed footprints in the snow leading away from his truck. Curious, he followed them, but they suddenly vanished. Thinking it was time to leave, he climbed back into his truck. As he sat in the truck, the dispatcher contacted Jason again. This time, instead of sounding detached, they seemed genuinely worried. Jason mentioned he had taken a shortcut to get to his destination faster, but the dispatcher revealed that he had been missing for weeks, and that the road he was on didn't exist. Alarmed, Jason looked up, only to see who had been following him. Barely escaping, he continues on his journey, but soon starts running low on gas. He needs to find another station, and just as he begins to panic, he spots a motel sign. Stopping there to seek help, he quickly realizes he isn't the only person who has encountered this road. A trucker named Eddie had taken a shortcut despite being familiar with the route. In a hurry, he ended up running out of gas and found himself at the same gas station as Jason, where he also encountered the entities, or monsters as he calls them. Eventually, Eddie exhausted his fuel and had to walk to the motel. Thinking Eddie might still be nearby, Jason hopes they can work together to escape this place. As he walks outside, he sees someone looking at him through a window. Assuming it's Eddie, he approaches the second story, only for a figure to close the curtains. The door creaks open, leading him to a room. Upon reaching the bathroom, Jason discovers Eddie inside. Eddie explains this motel is the monster's lair, and it's if they were playing hide and seek with him, almost as if they know his every move. He mentions he hasn't slept in several days, and needs to retrieve gas from the yellow car to leave. Understanding the urgency, Jason begins to search for the gas can. Finding the yellow car, Jason realizes he needs a crowbar to open it. He discovers a crowbar in one of the rooms, and also stumbles upon a letter written by a foreigner. The letter revealed that the writer was insulted by a truck driver and sought warmth and shelter at the motel, only to be turned away because of his bad smell. In frustration, he cursed the motel staff and residents to remain trapped in the motel forever, forced to serve others until they go insane or die of hunger. Armed with a crowbar, Jason heads to the yellow car, collects the gas can and turns around to see someone lurking in the tree line. As he walks closer, the figure charges at him. He manages to return to the truck just in time to escape. Later, Jason recounts that he woke up in the hospital after a trucker found him crashed into a tree. The accident left him crippled, and to this day, he has no idea how he escaped that nightmarish world.